I'm worried. I've been telling you about this family I pick up every morning at 4:30 a.m. There's a lady in my neighborhood. She has 4 kids. They school at Shiashi, and so they have to leave home at 4:30 a.m. and pick at least 2 trotros to get to work. If they don't do that, if they leave home later than 4:30 a.m., they'll end up getting to Shiashi around 9 a.m. Okay. She tells me her stories, and because these days I hardly take trotros, I don't really appreciate the stress she goes through. But the other thing I see is every day on my way home, I see hundreds of Ghanaians in queues looking for vehicles. And so Sunday, after I stayed at Adenta Barrier for about an hour to get a ride for a distance of just about 6-7 kilometers, I stood for 1 hour, and all the trotros that came said flat rate, Amrahia 10 cedis, whether you are light at Rui Junction, whether you are light at Ashiye, wherever you are lighting, 10 cedis. And I thought it was just not right. And a lot of us go through this every day. If you look at the statistics, really, about 70 to 80% of Ghanaians depend on trotros for their movement every day. And if we are to check even digital platforms like Google Maps, you see the traffic hotspots, okay? And then if you go out right now, you see lots of Ghanaians in queues just looking for vehicles to go to work. And so there are instances when the trotros do short shots. When I used to live in Kumasi, it was a big thing that we used to discuss on radio. So for example, if you are moving from Edum to KNUST, your first shot will be from Edum to Labour Roundabout in Asafo. And then they will pick from Labour to Amakum Roundabout. Then they'll say Amakum Roundabout to Anloga Junction. Anloga Junction, then to Tech. So for a trip which should cost you, say, 10 cedis, you'd end up paying about 40 cedis. And the thing is, once you are light at every stop, you'd have to struggle to get into another car because they'll let all of you alight before you board again.
Oh, okay.
And usually by the time you get there are other people also there waiting for vehicles. So why are we unable to fix this simple problem of public transport? Why are we unable to fix that?
You see, it comes back to the thing I keep saying here, that our problem is the people. This country, the biggest threat to Ghana is Ghanaians. We are too greedy. And you see, to be fair to us, human beings will do whatever they can get away with. That's just human nature.
That's right? True.
So there is far too much that we can get away with in this country.
That's true.
That is why we are so greedy.
That is why we also employ people who must use their heads in solving problems.
These are not problems that other civilizations face.
Because the other people in the other civilizations decided to solve them. Let me give you an example. In Greater Accra, Ashanti, Central, and Western region, I want to estimate that we have at least 300 senior high schools in these 3 regions, right? And these schools are likely to have school buses, okay? You have the universities with the various departments also having buses. So if the government cannot even acquire buses now, and I'm not saying that because of this issue, we should cook some procurement deal and make our 10-20% and mess up the system. We can have smart ways of deploying every bus in the system to run a contraflow system. And this thing, I've been saying it, and we've run models of it. Kojo, I see SNIT and I see GRA and I see other institutions having buses for their staff. So they move people in bulk every day. And these buses end up in traffic. I see Ayalolo buses in traffic, quality bus system. So why can't we use the whole of government approach to use other resources within the system? If I was, if right now the president says, Kojo, fix this transport problem, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look at all the institutions with buses parked, because go to Legon right now, you see a lot of buses parked. Go to Presec, they have their buses. They use these buses sparingly when they are going for events. So let's take these buses, let's have a structure where we can use them to run even a contraflow system and pay some revenue to these schools so that they get some revenue. And the contraflow system is simple. Right now, I'll use the Adenta road, for example. This morning, there's traffic coming all the way from Adenta. So these are the hotspots you get. You get the Amrahia to Oyibi to Amrahia to Adenta barrier to Madina to Legon to airport to 37 to town. Those sometimes some of the lanes are 3, sometimes some of the lanes are 2 on that stretch. There's traffic all throughout. Now the other lane from Accra to Madina to Amrahia, the other lane is largely free. So dedicate one lane for that as a contraflow lane. Put the buses on, deploy police, and we've bought a lot of motorbikes and a lot of vehicles, so deploy the police. Let them go stand at intersections. The buses load and they say we are from Amrahia, for example. You say you are going straight to Legon. So anybody who wants to go to Madina, for example, will pick that bus, come straight to Legon, alight at Legon, and pick another bus back, because on your way back the road is freer. So a journey which would take you about 1 hour 30 minutes, you can do contraflow to cut it to about 30 minutes. And when we did the analysis of contraflow, if we deployed about 20-30 buses within the city and did contraflow, we can move 2.8 million people in this city. I'll share the data with online and they'll put it on Twitter. We can move 2.8 million people within this city and generate revenue. So why are the people at the Ministry of Transport not thinking about this? Why are we not using the whole of government approach to solve our problems? Why should the taxpayer spend 3 hours in traffic to work, 3 hours back? So out of your 24 hours, you're spending 6 hours in traffic. And then you get home tired, you get to work tired. Weekends that you have to go and chill small and open up and spend in the economy, you are so tired you cannot do anything. And why should you have a Minister of Transport and have all these agencies and still deal with this problem now? It's a city of at most 6 million people. It's a greater Accra metropolitan area of at most 6 million people. There are cities with populations of 9 million, 10 million, and nobody spends 2 hours in traffic. From New Jersey to New York, in the morning, there's contraflow. Some lanes are rededicated so that vehicles can move. In other places, everybody does it, and we have transport engineers within this country, within the city we are paying. So if the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has been president before, and when he was president in his first term, he wanted to do Ayalolo, and he bought some 200 or so buses, or 100 and something buses we packed for months before we redeployed. And now he says he's resetting and wants to have a 24-hour economy. One of his basic and highest priority areas should be to move people, because if people don't move, the economy doesn't move. So the president should deal with the minister, and the minister should deal with the issue.
Well, you know what will happen if they implement this wonderful and I think brilliant solution of yours, right? Then everybody will switch on their hazards, bribe the police officers, and join the contraflow lane.
If you are not a bus, you don't join the contraflow lane.
You are saying that thing like you are prescribing this solution to civilized people.
And as citizens, we will police it.